Hi everyone, hope you're okay. So this is part 2 of rearranging formula. So last week we looked at rearranging formula where we had a one-step equation to solve, okay? So it was either adding something on the end or taking something off, and then we did the opposite, or dividing and multiplying, okay? So if you weren't sure of what we did last week, double check and go over the video from last time. And what we're going to do today is we're going to look at part 2, which is where you have to do two things to get the letter that you want on its own. Okay, so we're going to be looking at rearranging these formulas so that x is on its own. Okay, so this is exactly like solving a normal equation, okay, like it was last time, except we've just got letters. Okay, yes, all right. So some of it has got numbers, okay, but essentially we're not going to figure out an actual answer at the very end. That's the point, okay? So if we're looking at this first one, I've got 3x plus 2 equals q. If this was 3x plus 2 equals 11, what I'd be doing first of all is I'd be getting rid of the 2. So that's exactly the same method that I'm going to follow on these ones. So I'm going to take 2 from each side. Remember, whatever we do to one side, we must do to the other. Okay, so it makes that part disappear. So what I'm left with is 3x on this side. And on this side, I'm left with q take away 2. I don't know what q is, so it is just q take away 2. Okay, right, the last part, to get x on its own, we have to get rid of the 3 from the x. So remember that 3x equals 3 times x. So to get rid of the times by x, we divide by, to get rid of the 3, the times by 3, we divide by 3. Okay, so divide each side by 3. So what I'm left with, so what happens is this part disappears. So I'm left with x, which is what I want. And what I've got now is q take away 2 divided by 3. Now, what's important here is that you realise there's all of that divided by 3. And the best way to write your answer to show that is as a fraction. So it's q take away 2 all divided by 3. Okay? If you wanted to leave it with the divide sign, you would have to write it like this. You would have to put some brackets in and then divide by 3, because you want all of that divided by 3, not just the 2. Okay? Right, so let's have a look at another one. So the next one I've got is 5x minus q equals r. So this one's similar to this one, except I don't have a number. So I'm going to whiz through this one. So I've got plus q on each side for that part to disappear. So 5x equals r plus q. Okay, then I'm going to divide each side by 5 to get rid of the 5. So that part disappears. So I'm left with x equals r plus q all divided by 5. Okay, so exactly the same really, except we don't have a number. Okay, right, let's have a look at this last one. So this one's different, and I hope you spot that it's different because it's got an x squared here. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing. We're going to get rid of the number attached here. Okay, it could be a letter, obviously, couldn't it? Okay, but it's a number in this case. So we're going to take 4 from each side to get rid of that part. So I'm left with x squared equals m take away 4. Now, how do we get rid of a squared? What's the opposite to squared? I'm hoping that you're all saying square root. So I'm going to write it here. Opposite to squared equals, I'm not going to write it out, square root. Okay, so I'm going to square root this side. So I have to square root that side. And what that does is that gets rid of that. So they cancel each other out. Okay, so x equals, and it's the square root of all of this, and that's what's important. So remember, when you're doing these, it's all of it. So like on this one here, it was all of this, wasn't it, divided by 3. It's all of this divided by 5. So it's all of this square rooted. Okay, so what I want you to do now is I want you to have a go at the questions I've set you, and if you've got any problems, just drop me a message.